Hey guys, Julius here, and today we are going to go through some grenades on the map Dust2. Now, originally I remember having this series of nades and flashes and garbage things that I only really uploaded one episode of, but I didn't really like the series structure and it required me to find audio clips and all that stuff, so yeah, so why not I'll make an entire video just dedicated of these trash for you. So, we'll first begin on some CT smokes and flashes, and one of the most basic things is that on Dust2, you want to smoke off some of the very common points. And long is probably the easiest one because you just throw a smoke, any smoke that practically ends up in this door will probably prevent any sort of push here. And some of them allow you to hide, like here or something. So that's very basic and crap. You do always want to take note that there are a couple of flashes you can throw that allow you to peek the push, which will probably it'll probably only work like once. If you try to do that twice in the same round, they'll probably catch on to it. Like this one, you run at this wall. Okay, so short is a bit more important because some people I've seen especially in the lower rank games, people tend to smoke short by smoking off here. This is terrible because, well, you can't always get this thing in the center unless you literally do it like I do. And then even so, if you don't smoke it forward enough, they have a bit of position over here. It does still it does increase the contrast between the character models, but it's still generally a bad idea. It doesn't really prevent them from pushing or anything. The ideal method is to smoke off right here, which would make it easier for you to play close cat here and here, I guess. And then you'll see whoever pushes through, and you can just shoot at them. It's very easy to do so. So there are a couple of ways of throwing this smoke. One of them is standing on this stack of bricks. Now about this height level, it's not too precise, and you see this dark area over there, you just put your crosshair on it and throw. Generally, most smokes that bounce off that gives you a pretty good one. Occasionally there's a gap there, but sometimes you can use this to your advantage to shoot the people, you see their feet. So if you wanted to cover a bit more for this one, you just move a bit forward. It should give you a slightly better smoke. It depends. I guess you could also walk through this slightly, hold the shift key, walk forward, but then you'll end up smoking out too much on this side. Another thing that you can do is, of course, you don't always have the time to stop there, because if the terrorists decide to rush short, then you probably won't make it in time. In fact, short's really easy to rush because it's hard to get the smoke down in time. One of the ways you can do it is when you're running this way, same dark spot, just throw while you're running. This one ended up too much in the corner because generally you want to throw it slightly earlier. It's about here, when you're about around here, you ready your smoke and then you run forward. You want to do it, for this one you want to do it a bit lower. As you can see, I threw it a bit high and then end up there. If you do it a bit lower, it ends up closer to this side, which is what you want generally. If you end up too much on that side, it's not going to be too helpful here. Let's move on to another CT smoke, which is the one you use right out spawn. Depending on where you spawn, you can throw this one, which allows you to pass. Crucial one. People don't do this enough. You can also smoke mid, but you know what's the point in that? To smoke mid, gotta aim at this thing. This bounces off, smoke's right there. You want to aim at that thing because if you aim at the door, it might bounce right back at you. Sometimes it works if you aim low enough, but if you aim high, it's just gonna bounce out. That's not what you want. You want it to go into the door, like that. Okay, then another one, I guess you could say that you could smoke off tunnels. There are a couple of ways you can do it. I've seen people do it from here. There's also this one, which you come over here, be right on top of it, throw, lands over there, smokes off tunnels. Good. which is obviously the thing you want to do if you want to prevent like terrorists from rushing the tunnels. You could have your mid player who always like spots over here. Then if you say your first smoke has ran out, then you get your mid player to throw this one. And then go back to holding here. And this pretty much prevents any push from mid. Although generally you probably already have only one smoke there because you had to use one smoke to cross or something like that. I think that's most of the CT sided smokes. I'll just quickly switch over to the T side and tell you more about the other smokes and flashes, I guess. Although there are some flashes that work for both CTs and Ts. In particular, if you're holding the bomb site, this is another good one. Sorry, this one. You can choose to throw it, or you can run and throw it. It just slightly varies up where it ends up. So if I stand here and throw, it ends up like that, which is probably better. But if they're playing an angle like here or something like that, then it gets blocked by these barrels, which doesn't really flash them too heavily. If you run a little bit, it ends up further back, like right there, which is slightly more useful, but it gives the opponent more reaction time. So it's generally what you want to do. There are a couple of others. You could aim this window for the flash, to flash short, because if you aim this window, then you come out here. Sometimes it works because some people like they're coming out here. If they're already pushing, if they are hiding like here, this angle, it doesn't work. If they're pushing you, they'll either have to turn away or they'll be forced to eat the flash. It's one of those things you can do. Alright, so I'll quickly switch over to T side. And yeah, we'll talk about other things here. So for T side, I've shown off this smoke before, where you stand in this corner, put your crosshair slightly outside of that building corner. You just want to move it out a little bit and throw it when it's in between number 1 and number 2 wire. This one hits the corner. It's a little bit challenging to get consistent at this, but it's probably one of the more rewarding smokes because it allows you to get the short with minimal issues of getting shot by snipers. That's even worse. I apparently do not know how to throw smokes anymore. We'll do this. Smoke. You just want to throw it between the first and second wire. It should bounce off, and that one landed a bit short. I should really practice my smokes more. This is the first wire, this is the second wire. You want to throw it when you cross this between them. I'm throwing smoke. Slightly late also isn't too bad, but you just don't want to be too early. This one ends right in the corner. Generally, as long as it lands on top and doesn't smoke mid, it's possible, but ideally you want it to land on the actual Xbox itself. This looks, yeah, that's more like it. So if it lands on the Xbox, like I've shown you before in the previous video, you can easily get cover when you're going up cat here, and then you can acquire this area. Now, one thing that I did not mention is like if you had that smoke previously that I mentioned right here, something like that. If you have a smoke here, there's a flash that allows you to run through that smoke and practically blind whoever's holding close, which is right here. Throw this one. What that does is it practically, okay, I didn't exactly throw that too well. You want to throw it about, not really there, you want to throw it closer to it, towards the darker side of the blue, just that it goes as straight as possible, and ends up right here. So this guy gets blind even if he goes all the way in passively playing. This guy gets blind, this guy will see it coming a mile away and he's forced to turn or get blind, and this guy probably gets blind too. The smoke still generally works in the CT's favor, but if they don't expect the flash coming, especially with the gigantic smoke right here, then when you throw this flashbang, it makes it harder to see the flash coming, because it blocks most of their vision of the flash throwing here and it just goes over. If you play like here, you have this much reaction time to deal with. So the short flash that I keep doing on my videos is this one. you wanna basically stand at somewhere here, something like that. You wanna line yourself up with the stairs, and then you wanna throw it such that it bounces off the top part of the stairs. This is a great solo pop flash. It's probably more effective than throwing this, because your enemies don't have 2.5 days to see the flash coming. But it doesn't get anybody playing passively on that angle, so that's one thing to keep out. It is possible to throw the flash like this. I'm sorry, no, that went over. As in, you can throw it from like a mile away, but then the reason why you want to get close before you throw it is so that you can run out with it. I recommend hugging this wall, because this puts you in a good angle to peek these angles. Like that, when the flash goes, which is right there. So you can run up here, throw your flash, peek this angle, check this angle, check this angle. It basically gets anyone who's like right here, but not the guy inside, obviously. This guy here, and probably like these guys here as well. Just that most of the time, by the time these guys are blind, they've probably been hiding right behind here already. So that's one thing you want to keep note of. Let's see. The other one is your classic mid smoke. Do not screw this one up. Line yourself up with that other door, the one on the right. Stand back a little, run forward, jump throw. It should bounce off this door, smoke off right here. Don't want to throw it right in the middle. You don't want your smoke to go through. That helps nobody. Oh, what the hell? Okay. Yeah, you don't want your smoke to go through, but somehow that worked. But you don't want your smoke to go through. You don't have no clip speed on when you're playing. So classic mid smoke. Gotta make sure that you know that at least. Alright, so that when your team calls smoke mid, you don't look like a retard. There are a couple of smokes that you can use to get this corner smoked off, because it's a very common off angle. Most people like off here, and this is a really big issue because in this place is like basically a choke point. You can get shot from here. Can be a guy playing there. There can be a guy here. It could be even a guy back there. Pit here. The minute you peek out for pit, the guy in the back here can shoot you. It's just a huge mess for most terrorists to deal with. There are a couple of smokes you can do where you can do this. First way is you can stand on this very dark piece thing here, here, and then you can line up your. Okay, when you throw your smoke, you want to line up the index finger with a dark spot on that thing, which is this one right here. This exact dark spot. It's not too precise. Generally, your finger being anywhere on this entire thumb being on your index finger being on this entire line, generally towards the side of this door, should work. Like you can run up here, quickly throw this thing on a whim, and it will just work. But for some reasons that sometimes it just like line up perfectly. Like this will just smoke it off here, and you can peek from long without the fear of being shot from here. You still gotta be careful of these guys here, which is the next flash I'm gonna show you. Stand in this corner. Show this flash here. This gets this guy, but not this guy. So generally, when you're peeking this, check this guy first, followed by this guy. Then take care of pit, because the guy, if you're smoking this, the guy here probably have fought back or went to pit. So you check pit, then check this spot and this spot. You know, standard things. Yeah, there's another way of throwing this smoke. I believe I've seen this done quite a bit. Is that you come down from here, aim mid doors, crosshair above the lines, won't throw this. It does land like roughly around there. It's faster. If you threw the smoke that I showed previously, this one, it takes about a day and a half. Which means by the time you are ready to throw that flashbang, you could have thrown the flashbang before this smoke got off. Oh, that was pretty bad. It hits this thing. This thing's like really annoying, by the way. There are a couple of smokes that prevents you from throwing. Okay, another smoke that you could throw is the one that you use the crossing. There are a couple of them that allow you to cross here. The one that I use the most for smoking out that is this one. You stand in between these two doors. You want to be closer to this outer door, but don't hug it, because if you hug it and run later, you will hit this door and your smoke will be off. So you want to notice that there is a shadow on these rings. Now I cannot scope in with the AWP on these rings, the shadow disappears. So you gotta notice there's a shadow there. It's not too precise, you just gotta put your crosshair on that shadow. You want to run forward until you've gone past this thing, roughly. It like vanishes from your screen. So you just run, or like the second you hit it, and then it should bounce off this. And that practically guarantees you a pretty decent smoke over here. There usually is like a gap here. You could fine-tune the timing a bit more and it'll be more precise. But that just shows you the average result. So yeah, that's a pretty good smoke for crossing, but generally there's better. Because you can actually just smoke spawn from here. And one of the ways to do that, or at least the way I figured out, is by standing between these two dark regions. About here, close enough to the door, but slightly behind this. You want to put your crosshair on the wire between the two windows, the thickest one. But what you're going to do is you're going to track that position. So I'm going to run forward, my crosshair is going to follow that position between the two windows. That's how I lined up the initial position. I'm going to run forward, I'm going to track this, I'm going to jump throw. This should go over the top of this building. And it will land in CT spawn. You can make it go deeper. It's very timing based and angle based. It's sort of random, you gotta practice it a bit so that you can get it down. Like I said, stand behind this, crosshair on the wire, track the position, jump throw. Now, I have times where it just goes straight past, it doesn't land on this thing, but that's because you released it probably a bit too late. But yeah, this is about as deep as it goes. It can probably go slightly deeper, but that's your average result right there. And this is even better because when you're crossing this, you don't have the problem of or at least you don't have to worry about CTs hiding behind your smoke over here and then maybe taking pop shots at you, or maybe flashing their way through it, like doing this flash that I showed just now. You could just use this flash and flash their way through smoke and then get like 4 kills right here because everybody's just blind. But yeah, if you're smoking off CT, another angle you have to worry about is elevator right here. This is elevator. The guy could be here peeking you. This is a good jump scout angle, I guess. I've tried it a few times, it works decently. Especially against players who don't expect it. You could jump scout from here. So you gotta worry about this guy a bit, but generally he's not too difficult considering spawn is smoked off. And if you know shot is clear, then this guy is generally trapped. One more flashbang, I guess, that I use a lot. This one here. You want to stand somewhere about this line, but you want to throw your flashbang before you hit this thing. So you're gonna run forward and bounce it up blue. This flash is right here. It's not gonna get the guy all the way over there. The guy, even if he doesn't turn away, he's not gonna be heavily blind. It's mainly used for this guy, who might peek you over here. Or some guy who might be holding an angle over here or something like that after perhaps all their teammates died and some guy pushed forward. It's somewhat useful, but it's very situational. So it's always nice to know things just in case. Let's move on to short now. I've shown the few short flashes and smokes. Here's the drop down. For classic view models, you're gonna put your smoke the corner of the grenade. Let's downsize the console a little bit. The corner of your grenade should be right between this and this, right there. Right here, right here. Right here! Anyway, you're gonna put your corner of the grenade there. And it should smoke off CT. It's just slightly easier than doing the one over there, so if you have a teammate taking short, you might want to get them to throw this one, although there are a few more useful ones they can use. Another one I've seen is that you can bounce it off this. And it should give you a good CT smoke. So yeah, there are a couple of that. The nades per side. which also works if you use a Molotov. Be careful to not expose yourself to Goose, by the way. When you're throwing this nade, you gotta make sure that you're quite precise. Your pole should be lined up with the sign, so that you're not peeking this guy over here, who can at any instant can come out and shoot you. So you want to throw, still want to throw about there. I'm sure you guys know that this one can also be smoked off, so that you can, like, I don't know. But another one that's useful if you still have a smoke here and you're taking out short is to smoke this, which throws the smoke right in front of that, preventing anyone from ramp from peeking you over here, so you can just come around and then shoot them here, because you know they're inside if they're there. Then check this side. It's very useful, because there's so many angles you can get peeked from just by having no smoke up there. So what you do again is you stand somewhere around here, generally around this area. You want to aim at the door. You don't want to aim at a lamppost. That lamppost is a bit annoying actually, and the door is pretty annoying too. You know how many times smokes have just gone through that door? I don't know. Just aim about there. I generally pick that ledge height around there and just run it in. This should land right in front of those boxes. Alright, so enough of those things. We're gonna cover a few more. Mid to be a generic smoke right here. Everybody knows that one. This is a pop flash for mid. There's another one which involves standing a bit here, slightly further back, and putting like your, I don't know, something like that. No, I'm terrible. I'm throwing a flashbang. Nah. Anyway, I prefer to use this one because it's easier to remember, and you're not gonna be worried about exposing yourself to mid when you're throwing like another flash from here. I'm throwing a flashbang. Or something like that. Your main concern when going mid to B is this guy here. And by smoking this off, you basically eliminate the possibility of someone offing you all the way from spawn. You gotta worry about this guy, who's jumping up on boxes to shoot you. Can't really see me now because there's smoke around. But yeah, I've recently seen a lot more of the newer competitive demos where people just jump up these boxes and try to get a pick through the smoke. So if your smoke is like right there, it's possible for them to like shoot you through this and even off all the way to the door. So you gotta be slightly worried about this angle now. But other than that, it's your generic mid to be. You could throw a few flashes. This one only works if your opponents are really stupid, because they can see that coming from a mile away. Another one that I've been doing is a bit like this one, which I guess generally there's not too much of an issue getting picked out here. You just gotta watch for this flash that the CTs might use. This flash allows them to peek mid doors, and it flashes for them. So yeah, you gotta watch out for that one. You can also no longer wallbang this with an AK-47. You can do it with an AWP. I think no, you can't do it with an AWP either. This position is just a lot stronger now. Last time you could just sit here and spam, but no, you can't do that anymore. This position is so strong. So you gotta watch out for this guy here. Once you've cleared that though, if you want to take B, there are a couple of flashes you can use for taking B. The simplest one is looking at this, throwing this flash. Oh no, that's not how you do it. You want to stand closer, and you want to throw a flash straight off that thing. I'm a professional. I assure you. Yeah, you just throw a flash straight off that thing, and it just pops in so that you can shoot people who happen to not see that thing coming a mile away. The one that I use slightly more, stand on this green patch. I hold mouse 1 and mouse 2 at the same time. Line up the index finger with the top of this. Line up the thumb with the window. Show it. This basically pops right here. It can vary a bit, but most of the time it just gives you a nice pop flash to go in on. The only issue is it goes a bit high, so some people can see that coming. but there is no bounce sound. So if your teammates, your enemies are very good, they react to the bouncing sound of a flashbang. This one makes no sound. So another one that it's also very common is bouncing off this one. But I'm terrible at it.
I'm throwing a flashbang.
Yeah, as you can see.
Flashbang.
There, it's more like it. So basically, the idea is you bounce off this curved surface, so that it goes on up top and blinds everybody else. Like most people, I don't recommend throwing flashes through door, because it doesn't blind everybody. The guy behind here could be shooting at you, the guy behind there has no interest in you. It's just not as efficient. So yeah, that's some flashes for going into B. There's also the car smoke, which I believe a lot of people know because there are a lot of videos on that. Stand in between here, but the crosshair slightly below the two arms, something like that, and it throws and it lands around the car. Unless it bounces off this ledge, which always gets you. It just always bounces off that ledge. Super annoying. So you're gonna move it a bit further down, and then you should get it. There we go. Yeah, it just lands in the car, and like it still allows the person to hide behind it, so it's not exactly too good. It's kind of situational. And that brings us to B. So rushing B, there are a couple of smokes. This one, line up here. Slight bit of space. You don't need it too close, so your smoke will just literally just bounce off this thing, which is not what you want. So great, waste the smoke. Line up here, throw forward. Yeah, it lands inside. Gives you some cover, it breaks up some of the angles, it allows some people to come here and some people to come up here, which gives them two different targets to shoot at rather than just spraying down the entire hallway. You can also throw a flashbang together with this, throw a flash into the smoke. It works very well when rushing, just gotta watch out for 2 3-man stacks here. Killed me many times before. One important note though, is that if this is late in the round, you don't want to use that smoke. You generally don't want to use this smoke. Because an AWPer here can just click on you. He basically has free kills. And you don't want that. So if you're doing it later in the round, I prefer using this smoke. You don't want to be elevated, you just want to be like that, normal. So you want to shift walk until you know that you're not standing on this ledge, because the clipping is a bit specific. Now you want to put your crosshair about the level of the lighter blue, and then you want to run very slightly and throw it at the same time.
I'm throwing smoke.
This gives you cover, slight cover, from back plat. Now the reason why I throw the smoke from here, even though you can throw a better smoke from here, is because most of the time, if you're playing against a decent AWPer, he won't let you cross this without you smoking off this, and wasting a smoke to smoke that off, it's a bit valuable. Unless the CTs have that smoked off, I wouldn't recommend like trying to cross just so you can throw this smoke here. Which gives you much better, slightly better coverage from that angle, and I guess it would pair pretty well with the first smoke where they used to rush in.
Smoke.
I mean, these pair up pretty decently, I guess, but yeah, I just prefer to do it from here because it lower risk of dying. Dying is never good. So it just goes out there. If you want to molly the guy back flat, you gotta put your crosshair above the trees and run. And that pretty much kills whoever's standing there. They'll have to like stand on this, or like walk out here, which makes him an easier target. You gotta watch out for the guy in barrels, because barrels are still very strong. This position is still incredibly good. And I guess if you want to figure out, there are a couple of flashes you can throw that don't blind you. Yeah, it's just one thing to take note of. Another way to molly back plat is by standing here. Now, assuming that no one's actively peeking here, which they shouldn't really do unless, especially when your team is close, they'll be hiding inside. Molotov. Now you notice there's 1, 2, 3. You gotta put your crosshair past these 3, the one closer to 3, and just throw. It lands there, kills whoever is there. Great.
Grenade.
This ledge is also somewhat useful for throwing some nades off it.
Throwing a grenade.
You can like bounce nades down into side. You can bounce nades and you'll land close. Just a tip. You can experiment with this a lot. There are a couple of things you can do. You can even bounce nades off that, which clears off this annoying position over here. So yeah, feel free to experiment with this. This is pretty good, pretty decent spot. Now there are some smokes for retakes. There's some people throw this one, which is just running at this. Other people, they throw like a smoke like over the top so that it lands in the middle. Not too sure how they do that. I believe you can throw one from like here. I've just never used this, so I wouldn't know. Yeah, like something like that lands like right in the middle of sight. I mean, it'll be slightly more useful if you can smoke off like this angle, which you can do from by peeking here and throwing or something. But this is majority of the smokes that you use in Dust2. If you're a CT and you want to push up, you can throw the reverse mid to B smoke, which allows you to get into the tunnels. But by doing this smoke, you kind of announce to people that you're going to the tunnels, so it's situational. Anyway, that pretty much concludes most of the used nades in Dust2. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video.